Tyr, a significant yet often overlooked figure in Norse mythology, embodies a dual nature that is rarely seen in mythological pantheons. Revered as both a sky god and a deity of war, his role extends beyond mere battle, as he also personifies justice, law, and self-sacrifice. Unlike Odin, who is known for his cunning, or Thor, who is famed for his brute strength, Tyr represents a unique blend of warrior courage and legal order. His influence permeates ancient Germanic societies, Viking-era warfare, and even modern legal traditions. This documentary explores the transformation of Tyr, tracing his evolution from a supreme sky deity to a patron of law and war, examining the cultural, religious, and historical impact of his worship. Tyr's origins stretch back to the Proto-Indo-European pantheon, where he was likely associated with the supreme god of the sky. Linguistic evidence suggests that his name derives from Daius, the same root from which Zeus and Jupiter originate. This connection implies that Tyr was once the highest deity of the Germanic peoples, presiding over cosmic order and divine law. However, as Norse mythology evolved, Odin gradually replaced Tyr as the All-Father, relegating him to a lesser role. Archaeological findings provide further evidence of Tyr's prominence in early Germanic religious practices. Runic inscriptions discovered in Denmark and Sweden, dating back to the 2nd century CE, refer to Tiwaz, an older form of Tyr's name, in contexts that imply divine rulership and judgment. The Tiwaz Rune, shaped like an arrow pointing upward, symbolizes justice, honor, and guidance. This rune was frequently carved onto weapons, suggesting that warriors sought Tyr's favor not just for victory but for righteous combat. The decline of Tyr's supremacy corresponds with the rise of Odin, whose strategic and mystical attributes became more dominant in Viking Age spirituality. However, even in his diminished role, Tyr retained his association with the sky and justice, symbolizing an ideal warrior who fights not for personal glory, but for the greater good. One of the most defining myths about Tyr is the story of his self-sacrifice in the binding of Fenrir, the monstrous wolf prophesied to bring destruction during Ragnarök. The gods, recognizing the growing threat of Fenrir, sought to chain him using unbreakable fetters. However, Fenrir, suspecting deception, refused to be bound unless one of the gods placed a hand in his mouth as a guarantee of good faith. Tyr, embodying duty above personal safety, willingly placed his right hand in Fenrir's jaws. When the wolf realized the trick, he bit off Tyr's hand. This myth underscores Tyr's dual nature. As a god of war, he demonstrates unparalleled bravery, willingly accepting injury to ensure the safety of the cosmos. In contrast to Odin, who often relies on deception and personal gain, Tyr's loss of his hand signifies his unwavering commitment to fairness and selflessness. Scholars argue that this myth serves as an allegory for the limitations of power. In Norse society, a king or chieftain was expected to balance martial prowess with legal wisdom. Tyr's sacrifice symbolizes this principle. True leadership sometimes demands personal loss to maintain societal balance. The Fenrir myth thus transforms Tyr into a guardian of contracts and oaths, reflecting the Germanic legal tradition where a man's word was sacred. Despite his association with justice, Tyr was also venerated as a god of war, though his approach differed from that of Odin or Thor. While Odin encouraged cunning and deceit on the battlefield, Tyr represented honor and valor. His presence was invoked by warriors who sought righteous combat, reinforcing the Germanic belief that war should be conducted with integrity. Historical records suggest that Tyr's influence was particularly strong among Germanic tribes before the Viking Age. The Roman historian Tacitus, in his 1st century work Germania, describes how the Germanic peoples worshipped a war deity whom scholars identify as Tyr. Tacitus notes that these tribes fought with an emphasis on single combat and honorable warfare, a tradition that aligns with Tyr's ideals. During the Viking Age, Tyr's warlike aspects persisted, though they were overshadowed by Odin's dominance. Viking berserkers, who sought the frenzy of battle, typically invoked Odin. However, warriors who adhered to the old ways, those who believed in the ethical conduct of war, were more likely to dedicate their victories to Tyr. This distinction is evident in the naming of the Tiwaz Rune on weapons, found in Viking grave sites. The placement of this rune suggests that certain warriors adhered to Tyr's code of honor, seeking divine protection not just for victory, but for a battle fought with fairness and dignity. Beyond war, Tyr's influence extended into the legal traditions of early Germanic and Norse societies. His role as a god of justice made him the divine patron of law courts and assemblies. In Viking culture, justice was administered through the Thing, a governing assembly where disputes were resolved. These assemblies followed principles that align closely with Tyr's values: fairness, sacrifice for the greater good, and the sanctity of oaths. Evidence of Tyr's legal role can be found in ancient legal texts such as the 6th century Lombard law code, which mandates that oaths be sworn by invoking a god of justice, likely Tyr. Similarly, Anglo-Saxon legal traditions reference Tiwaz Rune, or Tuesday, named after Tyr, as a day associated with judicial proceedings. The widespread recognition of Tyr in legal context suggests that he was more than a god of battle. He was the ultimate moral compass of society. Even as Odin gained prominence as a ruler and sorcerer, Tyr remained the divine embodiment of justice. His enduring legacy in legal traditions underscores his importance beyond the battlefield, positioning him as a god whose influence was felt in every aspect of governance and social order. Norse mythology foretells Ragnarök, the apocalyptic event in which the gods meet their fates. Tyr's role in this final battle further reflects his dual nature. Unlike Odin, who falls to Fenrir, or Thor, who perishes fighting Jormungandr, Tyr faces the hound Garmr. This beast, often compared to Fenrir, serves as a guardian of the underworld. Tyr and Garmr are prophesied to kill each other, signifying the inevitable end of law and order in the face of cosmic chaos. This confrontation highlights a critical element of Tyr's character: his unwavering commitment to duty, even in the face of certain death. Unlike Odin, who employs trickery to delay his fate, or Loki, who betrays the gods for personal gain, Tyr meets his destiny head-on, accepting his role as a warrior of justice. His death symbolizes the end of structured law and honor, marking the collapse of the old world's moral framework. Scholars interpret this myth as a reflection of societal anxieties about the breakdown of order. In times of war and upheaval, the values that Tyr represents, justice, honor, and self-sacrifice, are often the first to erode. Tyr's death at Ragnarök serves as a stark reminder that even the most steadfast ideals are not immune to destruction, reinforcing the Norse belief in the impermanence of all things. Though the worship of Tyr declined with the Christianization of Scandinavia, his influence persists in various forms. His name survives in the English language as Tuesday, a testament to his historical significance. More importantly, the ideals he embodies, honor in war, the sanctity of law, and the necessity of sacrifice, continue to shape modern legal and military traditions. Military codes of conduct, such as the Geneva Conventions, reflect Tyr's emphasis on honorable combat. The notion that warfare should have ethical boundaries, prohibiting the mistreatment of prisoners and civilians, aligns closely with the principles he represented in ancient times. Similarly, Modern legal systems uphold the idea that justice must be impartial, and that oaths carry moral weight, echoing Tyr's role as the divine arbiter of law. Even in contemporary media, Tyr's character has experienced a revival. In literature, films, and video games, he is often portrayed as a noble warrior judge, a figure who upholds justice despite overwhelming odds. This resurgence underscores his enduring relevance, proving that the values he stood for remain as vital today as they were in ancient times. Tyr's journey from a supreme sky god to a patron of law and war illustrates the shifting priorities of Norse and Germanic cultures. His mythological significance lies in his dual nature, both a warrior and a judge, a figure of strength and sacrifice. Through his stories, we see an ancient world that valued honor, justice, and duty, even in the face of inevitable destruction. His legacy, carried forward in legal traditions and ethical warfare, cements his place as one of the most profound deities in human